This is DRF Race of the Day. Hi, everybody. Dan Illman, Mike Beer, the DRF Race of the Day for Sunday, January the 9th, race number 7 at Santa Anita. Let's throw up the field for the Grade 3 Las Cienegas Stakes. Fillies and mares going down the hill at about 6.5 furlongs. You can download free formulator past performances for this race on the Race of the Day event page at drf.com. Access them, handicap along with us, and then when you've made your final determinations, you can play this race and the entire Santa Anita card on Sunday with your DRF Bets account. Interesting that Bob Baffert, Mike, has 2 horses in this race trying turf for the first time. The 5 Beautiful Gift, a graded stakes winner. The 6 Ginger stakes placed. Baffert not known for really scoring on the turf.
Yeah, it's sort of weird placement. I think more so for the 5 Beautiful Gift, if only because it's her 4-year-old debut here off of a layoff, and she was actually a pretty good 3-year-old on the dirt. I'm surprised to see her come back on the grass.
Let's throw up the Timeform US pace projector for this race. Zero Tolerance, the 7, has a good amount of early speed. The 6 Ginger has shown speed on the dirt. Hear My Prayer has speed, but I think if Zero Tolerance wants it, Mike, she can get the lead.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think she could make the lead in this race, and that would make her tough. I mean, I think she's a major player no matter what kind of trip she gets in this race, but if she makes the front in here, it could make her just that much tougher to beat.
Now, a horse that's hoping for some hitting up front is the number 1 Tap Water. She's cutting back in distance, not necessarily a bad thing in downhill turf sprints, but her big effort, the 3rd in the Grade 3 Santa Barbara last year, came going 1.5 miles. So she's really cutting back in distance, and I wonder if she'll be outrun early.
Yeah, I'm not sure how much I like this cutback for her. We'll see what happens. It's not like, Mandela ever really sprinted this mare. I mean, her career debut on dirt going 6 furlongs is the only time she's ever sprinted in her career. And of course, her 3 most recent turf starts are all between 9 and 11 furlongs. I don't know. I mean, she has some talent. I guess if she runs her best race on this cutback, she could win. I didn't really want to bet her in here.
Conversely, you can argue that the 2 Hear My Prayer might find this 6.5 a bit far. She's concentrated most of her races going 5/8 of a mile, but she ran well in her last race. Let's watch the Senator Ken Maddie going 5/8 at Del Mar on November the 5th. We see her buried down behind horses turning into the stretch. She's in a little bit tight. She's finally going to get clear of run, and she is going to run in the stretch, finishing 4th, only beaten 3/4 of a length. It's a fine effort, and she can get closer this time around. She did not break well.
Yeah, it's a good performance for her, and she was just a little unfortunate there that she didn't break well at all from the rail and just wound up last on the rail all the way into the top of the stretch there. You saw how well she finished. In a lot of ways, maybe she even ran the best race last time. She's just a really good turf sprinter, Dan. I sort of share your concerns, I guess, that going 6.5 furlongs down the hill, I mean, it's a pretty big question mark for her as to whether she can run her best race doing that. But I think it's pretty clear that if she runs her best race, she's going to be tough in here.
This barn has sent out nothing but live horses at this meet, and the horse that finished 2nd in the race we just showed you came back to run a good 2nd on dirt at Oaklawn with an 88 buyer. I think the 3 Constantia is a very dangerous horse in here, cutting back in distance and dropping in class for trainer John Sadler. I mean, what chance did she have last time out against Going Global, who won 6 stakes races on turf in Southern California last year? And her prior start before that was at Kentucky Downs, a tricky configuration. You look at her Santa Anita sprint races, albeit over the straight course last year, she ran well both times.
Yeah, her Santa Anita form is very good. All of her 6.5 races are very good. Dan, you're right; they're not the down the hill races, but they're still really good performances. To me, in some ways, I felt like for these sprint races beyond 5 furlongs, I mean, she might be the best sprinter in this race. Her races are all good. When you go back and watch some of her races, I realize that she doesn't have a ton of early speed. I guess that's a little bit of a concern, but man, when you go back and watch some of those races from last year, I mean, she makes her move around the turn, and she has the leaders within her sights by the time they get to the stretch in those races. So I think if she can get a trip like that, she could be very, very tough to hold off in here.
Your point's very well taken. Friends, go into Formulator, watch the misdirection. Back on April the 17th, okay, she was outrun a little bit early, but she crept up onto him turning into the stretch. He's in behind horses. She steadied a little bit. Then the seam opens up and she shot right on through. She's a nice closing sprinter and fits very well at this level. Quiet Secretary is the number 4. Quiet Secretary has shown speed in routes. I don't mind her at all cutting back in distance, Mike. I think 6.5 going down the hill is going to be good for her. It's a question of, is she good enough to handle this graded field?
Yeah, I don't know how I feel about her either. We'll see if she fits in pretty well with this field. I think her recent form is actually pretty good. I think I'm a little more concerned with her cutting back than you are, Dan. They have sprinted her a few times in the past. Those races aren't terrible, but they're also not nearly, they're not really close to her best races either. She has that race in common with Constantia over this distance last January, where she made the lead. She was clear in the stretch. She was no match in that race. I wonder if she's good enough to beat this field sprinting.
Let's talk about the 2 Baffer trained horses, beginning with the 5 Beautiful Gift, who won the Grade 3 Santa Isabel in her 3-year-old debut. I thought she ran well in that race. I thought she was fair when second is the big favorite in the Grade 2 Santa Anita Oaks. And then I'll give her a mulligan for the Black Eyed Susan, a track where you wanted to be on the lead, on the rail. She broke from post 10 and chased wide throughout. The layoff is a concern. There is some turf pedigree here. The dam won her only start on turf overseas. She seems to be working well with some of Baffert's nice dirt horses like as time goes by and Messier, but it's just not my kind of horse, Mike, switching turf off of a long layoff.
I feel the same way about her. I just think it's odd placement for her to come back sprinting on the grass, even though she does, as you say, have some pedigree to really handle the surface. I liked her last year. Actually thought she was pretty good. I thought she was extremely unlucky not to win the Santa Anita Oaks. I don't care about the Black Eyed Susan at all. She's not, I'm with you. She's not my kind of horse. I don't want to bet her in here, but I'll be interested to see how she runs on the grass.
Ginger's the other Baffer trained horse, the number 6, 12-1 on the morning line. Mike Smith retains the mount. This one is more recency than Beautiful Gift. You can argue she's not as classy as Beautiful Gift, and she might not have the turf pedigree that Beautiful Gift has.
I don't think she does. I didn't find any turf pedigree to get me interested in her. I mean, I guess the one positive for her, if you were looking for one, I mean, I think you could argue that she's probably better sprinting perhaps than she is routing, but I didn't see enough pedigree to get interested here.
The 7-0 Tolerance, in my opinion, is the horse to beat. She won the Unzip Me 3 starts back going down the hill, and she did it from off of the pace. And last time out, she showed how adaptable she is. There was not a lot of pace at all going 5/8 at Del Mar. She got right up close after breaking a bit awkwardly, and she held on in the lane. I didn't love the way she finished that race off, but nice outside post position. Should be either on the lead or sitting second when they cross the dirt patch. She's going to be tough.
Yeah, I think she is too. She does have the win down the hill, which I like. I don't know if I felt like that was her best race, but it is the top figure she's ever run. And she did win that race pretty easily with a wide move. You go all the way back to her debut, Dan. She was so unlucky not to win that race. And that would, leave her undefeated sprinting on the grass. I don't know. I guess in some ways she is the horse to beat, but she's not necessarily a standout here.
Gold for Kittens only sprinted once in her career. It was the debut at Turfway Park. I know it was only a maiden claiming race. She did get it done, which is pretty good for a Kittens Joy filly to win first out going 6.5. She's been campaigning in routes on turf and on synthetic in her recent races. They tried Cynthia on the Ontario Damsel on Halloween. Let's watch that race. Gold for Kitten had a nice trip in this race. She sat up close to the lead. You see her taking the lead right now. She's not going to hold off the closers, but she's game to run third. I think she is a better horse on the turf. I like cutbacks, and West Point Thoroughbreds dipped in and bought this horse for $350,000 since her last race.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what she does. She runs fine in this race against some good horses. It'll be interesting. That I guess maybe she just sort of fooled her connections early on. Debuted cheaply. Wesley Ward ran her right back for a tag again in her next start. She just turned out to be a lot better, I think, than they expected her to be. And it feels like she was getting better with every race last year, and that's a feather in her cap.
She's now with John Sadler, and as we take a look at our top selections for Sunday's race of the day, that's where I'm going to go. I'm going to go with Gold for Kitten, hoping that she can stay within range and come with a strong kick at this 6.5 furlong distance. Constantia is another one that's going to be running late. I think she might have the best stretch kick of anyone in the field.
That's how I looked at it, Dan. We'll see if it sets up well enough for her. I guess she's going to need a little bit of pace here, but I like this distance for her. I just like all of her turf sprint races. I think this is really what she wants to do. And in a lot of ways, I think you could argue that she's one of the horses to beat in here.
And even though she's running in another graded stakes race, you could argue this is a drop. That Goldakova featured some really tough fillies in Southern California. 3275 for Mike, 8723 for me. We'll try to beat Baffert in the Sunday race of the day, the Grade 3 Las Cienegas. Good luck.